Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Throne of Steel episode number 151 based on novel. So let's start. Long Hao-chen actually appearing so overtly in front of her was just such an inconceivable thing. Even if he was now very close, she still felt as if in a dream. Long Hao-chen showed a calm smile. Why wouldn't I dare come? So what if the core city is the den of the tiger? Yu Yi lost her voice. So what? Could it be that you don't know that, in order to kill you, the demon god emperor had no scruples against making the holy war last over 2 years? This holy war has already lowered the demon population by more than 30%. For the sake of killing you, the demon god emperor personally went to look for you in the Exorcist Mountain Pass alongside my father and some demon gods. For the sake of killing you, the star demon god Visago did not refuse to burn all his life to use great prophecy. And you are just appearing in Modu like that. You are simply a madman. Long Hao-chen didn't make a sound. He could understand Yu Yi's emotions. Although Long Hao-chen was not among the Alliance's top in cultivation, he'd surely rank near the top if one were to speak in terms of reputation and influence. It was for him that the demon side launched this holy war. Yu Yi took large gasps, her whole face covered with unbelief. Watching Long Hao-chen's handsome face, she felt out of control of her own body. Suddenly, she took large strides forward toward him, and hugged him tightly. This unexpected hug startled him greatly. Coming into such close contact, Long Hao-chen could clearly feel her intense heartbeat. In a daze, he didn't know how he should face this situation. He obviously couldn't return the hug. In his heart, Yu Yi was only a comrade, a friend. Yu Yi didn't utter a word, and Long Hao-chen stayed motionless in this calm, secluded room, but didn't push her away. Deep inside, Yu Yi's feelings caused some reactions in him. It wasn't that he didn't think of rejecting her, but as this mixed-blood beauty in front of him had just saved his life not long before, how could he bear to push her away like that? Holding Long Hao-chen tightly, Yu Yi's intense heartbeat gradually came back to normal. She suddenly realized that this was the first time of her life that she felt so alive. And this feeling of substance was due to this man. What a good feeling. She was almost unable to resist the urge to let out moans, but still restrained herself in the end. She didn't want him to see through her, yet really hated to part with him. The two of them were calmly standing there, not budging for a while. When Yu Yi came up to hold him, her body felt slightly cold, but as time passed, Long Hao-chen distinctly felt that it was gradually heating up. Filled with a deep fright, Long Hao-chen knew that he couldn't let this go on. He was also just a man like any other, and Yu Yi was such a beauty. Even if he could control himself, even if this went on, he was afraid that this would change the friendly relationship between the two of them. This was something he did not wish to see. Princess. Long Hao-chen said in low voice. This appellation of princess made Yu Yi shiver slightly. The gradually warming Yu Yi was woken up just as if a cup of cold water was poured on her. Unconsciously letting go of his arms, she stepped back rapidly, and showed a somewhat pale, blushing face. Am I just a princess in your heart? Yu Yi revealed a trace of distress. She had believed she had let go of him a long time ago, but seeing him for real and sensing the aura on his body, she realized that this feeling was still there, buried deeply in her heart. Long Hao-chen let out a light sigh. Sorry, Yu Yi. You should know that I already have Cai, and my heart cannot contain feelings for anyone else than her. I regard you as my friend, a lifetime friend. Thank you for your message which enabled us to narrowly escape from that crisis. Your friend? So what if I am your friend? If I run into a life-threatening crisis, will you be protecting me like how you protected Cai with your own life? I will. Long Hao-chen replied categorically, without showing any hesitation. This startled Yu Yi, who looked at Long Hao-chen with an air of unbelief. Although they hadn't been in much contact, she understood clearly that Long Hao-chen was this kind of person. He wouldn't make this kind of promise lightly, but would be certain to do it if he said so. Long Hao-chen declared with sincerity, since I received your emergency warning in the Exorcist Mountain Pass, in my eyes you have already stopped being just a cooperative partner, but also a real friend. I understand that you two were bearing an enormous risk. If you come to meet with danger, I will do my best to save you from that. Long Hao-chen's words weren't a flowery speech, as he didn't have such rhetorical talents, but they deeply shocked Yu Yi's heart, and her pale face gradually came back to normal. She turned her head, her back facing Hao-chen, and put great efforts into pacifying her thumping heart. A long time later, she turned back to showing a normal expression. You came to the core city because the demon god emperor and my father went away taking a large amount of demon gods, So this place should be empty, right? If this is what you think, you are mistaken. Modu Core City is the foundation of all demonkind, and has 5 demon gods standing on watch. At any time, the 5 greatest clans will leave powerhouses on guard in their demon god palaces. Coming here to look for a chance is nothing other than suicide. I can tell that your cultivation has greatly grown in those 2 years, but I can tell you with certainty that 2 devil dragon powerhouses of the 9th step are enough to annihilate your whole team. After recovering her calm, Yu Yi was back to her wise and foresighted self, immediately able to tell the reasons of Long Haochen's arrival. No, you coming to the core city should be totally outside the demon god emperor's expectations. No one should have expected that you would walk right into the trap, and with your intelligence, I don't think you came with a suicidal plan. Tell me, just what are you planning? Long Haochen nodded. Based on the information you gave me, the star demon god Visago should be greatly weakened by the use of great prophecy and have only a tenth of his top form strength, right? I have come here to request a confirmation of that fact first of all. After hearing his question, Yu Yi was once again in shock. You can't be planning to attack the star demon god? Long Haochen didn't try to conceal the truth, and nodded to her. Yu Yi let out a gasp. Looks like you are truly mad. How could that be possible? Even if he has just a tenth of his strength, the star demon god is not an opponent you can deal with. Don't you know he has countless ways yet to increase his cultivation in a burst to an extremely terrifying level? I'm afraid you guys would not even be able to take a single one of his blows. Long Haochen replied, we have already considered all these points. Don't worry, since we dared come, it is surely after doing careful reflection. I have already considered all difficulties, and it's not as if we are planning to directly kill the star demon god. Can you tell me what's the current condition of the star demon god? Yu Yi replied, the star demon god is indeed weakened after his use of great prophecy. This is something father told me personally, and my father has never spoken false words to me. His demon god pillar is called Star of Truth, and causes any lie he would tell to greatly affect his cultivation. So why come for him if you don't plan on killing the star demon god? Oh, I know. You must be planning to destroy his demon god pillar. Don't tell me you really have that power of destroying demon god pillars. With Yu Yi's intelligence, she managed to guess Long Haochen's objective. Long Haochen shrugged his shoulders. Yes. If not for that, why would the demon god emperor launch a holy war because of me? By destroying or damaging the star demon god's pillar, our objective will be attained. Don't worry, we have no plans of involving you no matter what. Today, it was only to confirm whether the star demon god is really in a weakened state, as well as to inform you of our time of action, so that you can avoid being implicated or even wounded at that time. Yu Yi murmured, what a real fearless guy you are. To actually dare target this Modu capital city. Are you really confident? Long Haochen showed a light smile. There's nothing certain in this world from the beginning. This operation is mainly aiming at catching the enemy off guard. Since even you, the most familiar person with us, didn't expect that, the demon god emperor naturally won't expect it. We cannot remain here for too long, so tomorrow evening will be the time of our action. When the time comes, we will create a diversion in your Moon Demon Palace, before proceeding towards the Star Demon Palace. We will be launching an attack of Forbidden Spell grade against the Moon Demon Palace, so be extremely careful when remaining in here. Hearing Long Haochen's explanation, Yu Yi understood his strategy, becoming speechless for a moment. Looking at Long Haochen, she couldn't help but show a sluggish expression. For some reason, a sudden burst of pride arose in her. Yu Yi secretly thought, that's the man I have chosen. Leading his demon hunt squad, he actually dared come so brazenly to Modu and aim at the star demon god pillar. That's just how courageous and self-confident he was. No sign of arrogance was perceived from him. Since he said he had reflected on it carefully, he must have reflected on it carefully. But just as he said, because his plan was far too bold, and far too unimaginable, no one could guess it beforehand. Creating a diversion really was a good strategy, as attacking the Moon Demon Palace would naturally mobilize the Star Demon Palace with which they had the greatest relationship. Although Yu Yi didn't know the detailed plan Long Haochen's group had, she realized with astonishment that this plan was really feasible. She was just far too conscious about what demon god pillars represent for the demons. No matter his strength, even if it's the demon god emperor, if a demon god's pillar is destroyed, his position will also fall to dust instantly. The demon god pillars are their foundation, and in some manner an indestructible second body for the demon gods. Thank you for your help, Yu Yi. Be very careful, I am going now. After telling her these words, Long Haochen proceeded to the exit. Yu Yi stepped across, blocking his path of escape. Raising her head to look at him, she showed slight displeasure. You really leaving like that? Long Houchen had a start. Yu Yi snorted. How much do you even know Modu Core City? Even if your plan was even more reliable, how accurately can you strike my Moon Demon Palace and a Star Demon Palace? Even the power of a forbidden spell is limited. Knowing the core areas will only make our 2 demon palaces all the more panicked. Do you know the accurate location of the Star Demon God Pillar and the place where the Star Demon God is secluded? And how strong are the Star Demon's forces in the Star Demon Palace? Long Houchen didn't utter a word. Actually, Yu Yi's questions were all things he had wanted to ask today, but after Yu Yi hugged him like that, he just didn't dare ask anymore. That was because he suddenly realized that he already owed Yu Yi far too much. If he received even more from her, how could he repay that favor? And the feelings she had for him made it even harder for him to ask. Actually, Long Houchen had some backup thoughts about today's plan. By just spending some more time, he could investigate the 2 great demon palaces. After all, he still had this identity as a Moon Demon Viscount, enabling him to ask about some known information. Of course, he would prefer to get Yu Yi's accurate information, which was the only way to increase his chances of success. Although this operation Long Houchen came for was dangerous, he still proceeded with enough prudence. Unless enough safety precautions were taken, he wouldn't dare move rashly even if he had to give up on this plan. It should be to ask all this that you have come to see me this time, right? Why are you not asking? Long Houchen looked fervently at Long Houchen. Long Houchen let out a light sigh. I already really owe you too much. If I keep owing you, I don't know how I could repay you all this. Yu Yi almost blurted out, repay it with your body. But she still bore it, because she knew that this would only increase the distance between the 2 of them even further. So it turns out that you already know that you owe me a lot. Very good, let me tell you how to repay me then. Be at ease, it is not something personal that I will be asking. Yu Yi's expression exercised restraint, making less emotion show to appear more rational. Revealing a wise look, she declared after taking a short pause, Long Houchen, I can help you with my utmost, and not only this time but on every occasion there will come to be in the future. As long as you need it, I will do my utmost to provide any information you need. Yu Yi's voice sounded really pleased, and furthermore she clarified that he didn't need to repay her emotionally. Long Houchen was startled. What are your gains then? Yu Yi declared, if one day, you can be a leader of humanity, and lead them to defeat demonkind, I hope that you wouldn't eradicate it all, and leave just a small territory for demonkind to dwell in. It will be just a small kingdom outside your human empire, and I will be its ruler. For 1,000 years, humankind shall not be allowed to attack us. Long Houchen didn't expect this condition from Yu Yi at all, and couldn't help but feel a large shock. Yu Yi, are you sure that is your only wish? You should know that this is something I can absolutely not promise you. Even if I become a divine knight in the future, the Temple Alliance will surely not listen to my lone word either. Yu Yi looked at him with determination. I just want your promise. So what about what all others say? If the whole Temple Alliance comes under your command, why wouldn't you be able to make the decision? And you should know clearly that even if humankind can annihilate all our demonkind, it will surely be at an enormous cost. At that time, if you can give us a chance to move away into a small territory, then the chances of demonkind going all out with no more regard for their own lives will be much lower. I don't want much, just a territory the size of a province will be sufficient. Long Houchen furrowed his brows, deeply considering Yu Yi's proposal. There stood no doubt that having Yu Yi as a mole among demonkind would greatly benefit them in their future courses of actions. But this condition of Yu Yi felt really incomprehensible in his eyes. Even if I promise you, will the surviving forces even listen to your command after we defeat demonkind? Yu Yi showed a tranquil smile. That's my own issue. It's enough for you to just give me your promise. If in the future you cannot command the Temple Alliance, or if my strength is insufficient to gather the scattered demon survivors, or if you humans cannot defeat us demons, there will be no need to fulfill your part. Demonkind may be outsiders, but they have, after all, 6,000 years of history on this continent since their arrival. In some sense, outside the 72 demon gods, all demon races are also born from the evolution of various original creatures from Shimordalu, which are originally part of this world. If you can destroy the 72 demon god pillars, it's hard to say whether the demon's demonification will persist. And I can tell you one secret without fear. Do you know what our Yu Yi merchant group's fundamental force is? Long Houchen shook his head. Yu Yi replied, our fundamental forces are the individuals of mixed human and demon blood. Long Houchen was startled, immediately looking forward to the continuation of Yu Yi's speech. Yu Yi continued, individuals of mixed human and demon blood are far more numerous than you imagine. The Yu Yi merchant force is just our external facet, but our scope of influence extends to all demon territory. Among us, the overwhelming majority is more inclined to human thinking. And until now, we have really been looking ahead for an opportunity to become independent. You should understand my intention given how intelligent you are. So I will certainly not limit my help to providing information. In case the occasion gets ripe, our organization's strength will emerge of itself. Long Haochen showed some unbelief, and you are the leader of this organization. Yu Yi shook her head, not yet. Let me leak out some more to you. Our organization's present leader is a demon god of mixed human and demon descent. After I set up the Yu Yi merchant group, we have been in touch, and I have been in charge of intelligence works for the organization. If my strength reaches a sufficient level in the future, I will surely have the qualifications to fight for the position of leader. Mixed human and demon breed have a lot of advantages. For instance, even if our present head gets his demon god pillar destroyed, it will at most incur a slight loss of strength and inability to use its power. But that is far from the case for those purebred demon gods. Please give me your reply after considering it. For now, I am not speaking as your friend, but on behalf of my organization. In case our agreements come to a good end, we will also be the one in control of that kingdom. Long Haochen sank into contemplation, and without hurry, Yu Yi calmly stood waiting for him. A short time later, Long Haochen slowly raised his head. Okay, I give you my promise. Yu Yi charmingly revealed a slightly distressing smile. She knew that from this instant onward, Long Haochen and herself would be once again back to that pure relation of partnership. But what other choice did she have? I believe in your integrity, so there is no need for any contract of promise. All right, now tell me your plans. Let's perfect it now, trying our utmost to erase all danger. Wait a bit, I am bringing you our map of the Moon Demon Palace and the Star Demon Palace. Modukor City was still so imposing, and had the densest darkness essence. All demon powerhouses took the fact of living there as an honor, because in addition to the privilege of living there, the dense essence only made their cultivation speed faster. The sky darkened gradually, and the weather was not so good, dark clouds hovering all over the sky, where dusky drizzles hovered. Aside from the accumulated dust, an abundant darkness essence was contained inside, affecting even the sky's color. Outside the Moon Demon Palace, in an unremarkable nook, stood a man, a huge cloak completely covering his body. He was standing calmly, occasionally revealing a face of extreme handsomeness when looking to the side. It's about the Moon Demons and Star Demons meal time. Long Haochen muttered aloud. Right at this time, a few Moon Demons appeared at his side. Long Haochen did not avoid them, but instead looked at them face to face. Seeing Long Haochen's handsome traits, they immediately lowered their heads, then left at a rapid pace. Purple eyes and a handsome face. This was originally the greatest characteristic of Moon Demons. Also, their status generally goes up with their degree of handsomeness. Appearance would never determine a Moon Demon's age, but could determine his strength. And without a doubt, Long Haochen was heaven-blessed to be disguised as a Moon Demon. Tower of Eternity. The members of Bright Glimmer of Hope were all clad for battle, already prepared in their optimum state. All gathered together, they calmly waited. Yang Wenjiao and Duan Yi's injuries were already a lot better after the past days. Long Haochen didn't invite them, but if not for their insufficiently recovered strength, they would surely be itching to participate in this operation. At this moment, they could only give their most sincere blessings to Bright Glimmer of Hope's group. Downcast chants echoed in the first floor of the Tower of Eternity. This incantation was not from anyone of Bright Glimmer of Hope, and came with surges of earth elemental fluctuations. Not far from the group, 4 figures were seated in a circle. 3 of them formed a triangle, with the last one sitting in the center and chanting. Red, blue, green and yellow-colored figures emitted different light, coming from the 4 holy guards that Long Haochen had obtained inside this Tower of Eternity. The 10th, 11th, and 12th occupied 3 angles, and the soul fire in their eyes pulsed violently. The air surrounding the 9th holy guard seated in the middle also pulsed violently, and his body started to look incorporeal. The 3 great holy guards were pouring their soul force into the 9th holy guard, helping him complete his spell. The latter held in his hand a fist-sized white jewel, into which an incredible amount of earth essence was poured from his own body. Long Haochen was waiting for him, and the same went for everyone present. This mission couldn't take long, they had to go in and out from Modu Core City like a breeze for this to succeed. To unleash a forbidden spell in Modu was no different than looking for death. Even an ordinary moon demon would be able to sense waves of spiritual energy of such degree, so the incantation had to be completed there. Also, the gem in the hands of the ninth holy guard was not obtained from any bright glimmer of hope member but from Yu Yi. This was a crucial part of their plan. Zhong Fangfang said, "It's about time. Get ready everyone, Haochen should pretty much be back if everything goes as planned." With Caia in her amnesic state, Zhong Fangfang, being the oldest one here, temporarily commanded bright glimmer of hope. Sima Xian pulled onto the dark golden chains, pulling the energetic ball of light close. Lifting it, he placed it above his arm and the others also took out their own weapon, calmly standing in wait. As the chant of the ninth holy guard became increasingly louder, one could clearly see that colorless crystal turn yellow. The powerful waves of spiritual energy distorted the air violently, as that substantial-looking earth essence was poured out at a frightening speed. The four holy guards' joint strength was sufficient to use a forbidden spell-grade spell. As the Tower of Eternity had obtained so much soul force, they also gained a huge boost in strength. Right at this time, Long Haochen reappeared in front of his comrades in a flash of golden light. He remained silent, and immediately looked at the four holy guards. The ninth holy guard was finally reaching the last juncture of his incantation. His high-pitched incantation could be heard reverberating through the whole Tower of Eternity. Long Haochen had a very severe look. Saying he had no feelings of anxiousness was impossible. To brave rain and wind in Modu capital and aim against the star demon god's demon god pillar was their bold plan, and this was more than enough to astonish anyone. This was undoubtedly the hardest and most dangerous mission they had had up to now. By chance, the existences of the Tower of Eternity and Eternal Melody made the mission feasible, otherwise they would not even dare think of such a thing. At last, the resounding chanting sounds came to a stop, and in the midst of an intense knocking of the air, the 10th, 11th and 12th holy guards collapsed. Just a bit was left of the soul fires in their eyes, while the 9th holy guard was bursting in yellow light and vigor while pouring the last bits of earth essence frantically into that crystal. One could clearly see that around that crystal drifted some complex patterns. Just by looking, one could already feel how frantic all the energy stockpiled inside was. The yellow light vanished suddenly, as all traces of magic disappeared at once, poured inside that crystal. The whole crystal turned into a solemn yellow color, and dispersed some faint traces of dark golden brilliance. The 9th holy guard handed his crystal to Long Haochen. Both his hands were really shaking, making the consumption extremely visible. Long Haochen took the crystal and gave him a nod, after which the 9th holy guard immediately sat cross-legged, silently recovering from his massive consumption of spiritual energy. Long Haochen looked back at the group, nodding to everyone, then flashed in golden light and disappeared once again from the group's field of view. The others from Bright Glimmer of Hope all understood that from this instant, their plan was formally launched. They all had coinciding feelings of anxiousness and an indescribable excitement that mostly hid it. Long Haochen reappeared in a corner of the Moon Demon Palace without a sound. His tiptoes tapping lightly on the ground, he didn't put any of his spiritual energy to use, only borrowing his body's strength to send himself aloft. The walls surrounding the Moon Demon Palace reached a length of over 10 meters, but it didn't count as anything in front of the release of Long Haochen's power. They were now in a carefully chosen area that he had finally picked after consulting Yu Yi a lot. This area was in the outskirts of the Moon Demon Palace, inside the Moon Demon Hall, built in tribute to the Moon Demon god. Outside of the Moon Demon's royal family, the rear of this palace was generally only used for the ordinary Moon Demon's meal. No area in the Moon Demon Palace stood with more importance than the Moon Demon Hall. If the Moon Demon god Agaz was in his Moon Demon Palace, that's where his Demon god pillar would be, but at that time the Moon Demon Hall would undoubtedly be invulnerable to attacks. But as Agaz was not present, his Demon god pillar was naturally not present either, rendering an attack on it meaningless. Long Haochen had a focused look as he picked a spot. Even with his firm will, he couldn't help but feel his heartbeat accelerate. As soon as the plan was launched, there would no longer be any turning back. That crystal releasing a dark yellow color as he held it in his hand felt burning hot. Taking a deep breath, he calmed down his emotions, and as his eyes flashed with coldness, that poison-colored crystal in his hand let out a flash of lightning. This instant, he had already stopped concealing his spiritual energy, otherwise he would be unable to make use of this crystal's full power. It disappeared in a flash of yellow light which streaked across an area of a full 100 meters. Accurately landing in a parcel of the Moon Demon Palace's ground, it drilled into the ground and disappeared without a trace from the surface's view. The instant Long Haochen saw it make its way to the ground, he immediately turned his head and ran away, without the slightest pause. Accelerating like a flash of light to his body's greatest speed while confirming his direction, he sped along toward the predetermined destination. Now was not a time for him to release his spiritual wings yet, it would only make him too conspicuous in the midst of Modu. Instead, he reached his highest speed possible on the ground level. While Long Houchen made this frantic run, the Moon Demon Palace was still peaceful. The ground outside was the same as before, as if it hadn't changed in the slightest since then. The previous outburst of light element fluctuations alone attracted the attention of the Moon Demon powerhouses present. After all, it was extremely rare for light essence to suddenly appear in this Modu city full of darkness essence. A few seconds after Long Houchen made a run, a few purple silhouettes suddenly arrived in the Moon Hall, in the area where the yellow crystal drilled itself into the ground. Looking puzzled at the sight of the surroundings, they used a scouting technique on the area. How could there be some light elemental fluctuations earlier? A tall and handsome-looking moon demon asked in puzzlement. Although clad in a gown, his swelling muscles could still be seen through his clothes. The other thinner figure replied, "You're right, I sensed it too. How could some light essence appear so suddenly in there? Did the scouting technique show results?" "Nothing. Everything is normal." The third moon demon shook his head. The three of these all had a strength reaching the 8th step, only characterizable as normal adults amongst moon demons. The very first to speak was a tall moon demon. "Something is amiss. For some reason, I have a bad premonition. There's no way light essence can appear for no reason. Even sunlight should be unable to make it there. A human light user was surely here just before. We should search attentively." As they were talking, the three moon demons' expressions changed at once. Unconsciously, they looked at their feet. To their shock, a soft, thin-looking, light yellow radiance slowly dispersed to their feet and spread outwards. How could there be earth essence coming out now? The three moon demons were completely speechless, but it was an extremely soft and mild earth essence that had just appeared, feeling close to no threat to them. This time, even more moon demons had come rushing in, but the yellow color on the ground became more and more intense. "No good. Take a look," a moon demon suddenly lost his voice. The group of moon demons followed his pointed finger, discovering with astonishment that at some point a thin layer of yellow had also climbed up the Moon Demon Palace's walls. "Quick, darkness suppression," a moon demon of rather high cultivation shouted out. Then, all moon demons present ignited themselves in intense dark purple radiances. Moon demons were no weaklings. Almost all the moon demons present there were powerhouses of the 8th step. However, their reaction was, in the end, too late. Against an already unleashed forbidden spell, even a moon demon of the 9th step would at most be able to defend himself. Stopping the outburst of this forbidden spell would only be doable if Agaz was present right now in this moon demon hall. The earth violently shook as terrifying earth elemental fluctuations burst out, dense earth elemental fluctuations erupting in an area extending to a range of 1,000 meters. In a large explosion, the ground split instantaneously and the whole Moon Demon Palace started shaking profusely along with the whole Modu core city. How could this happen? This question arose instantly in all the moon demons. They were all powerhouses of the 8th step, with naturally sufficient perceptions. The instant they perceived a threat to their life, these moon demons flew away in panic, rushing away from the air. Any demon, whichever its race, would prioritize their own safety in front of a life-threatening danger. At this time a second sudden explosion rang out. It gave an instant feeling of a Dragon King arising from the ground. In the whole Moon Demon Palace, large pieces of ground cracked, countless boulders splashing in all directions. Those terrifying earth elemental fluctuations only kept causing intense rumbles over and over again. The Moon Demon Palace truly deserved being called the most important building for the Moon Demon clan demonkinds. Even in the midst of these explosions, it kept glinting instead of getting caught in the explosions. All around it, layers of dark purple halations rippled all around. That was its defensive formation, made specially for the building. This place being the Moon Demon's headquarters, consecrated to the Moon Demon God, how could it be so easy to shake? Even if the Moon Demon God's pillar was not part of the defensive formation, its defensive power was still incomparably terrifying. As the main ringleader for this accident, Long Houchen wasn't thinking about destroying the Moon Demon Palace. Yu Yi and him had planned thoroughly, and obviously knew about the extent of the Moon Demon Palace's defensive power. Their actual goal was, rather than to destroy this Moon Demon Palace, to borrow the power of the 9th Holy Guard's Earth Elemental Forbidden spell to make everyone aware that an attack was ongoing against the Moon Demon Palace. The forbidden spell finally erupted at its peak, causing the whole of Modu to shake with terrible rumbles. Loads of walls from the Moon Demon Palace crumbled and myriads of rocks came falling down, producing a terrible explosive force. Even a powerhouse of the 9th step wouldn't dare approach at this time. The Moon Demon Palace's defenses were certainly solid, but that was the palace itself, not the ground underneath. Along with some deafening blasting sounds, the whole Moon Demon Palace was blasted by a terrifying pushing force, rushing instantaneously into the air. One could clearly see a huge earth-yellow-colored dragon drill into the Moon Demon Palace from underneath, extending over more than 100 meters. Whirling around at frantic speed, its body let out terrible fluctuations of spiritual energy, causing the nearby rocks to blast away, as if all surrounding rocks had just become artillery shells made of spiritual energy. Many of the moon demons that did not make it in time to escape screamed in misery. The area serving for moon demons to have meals in had already long since collapsed, and in this short amount of time, over a third of the Moon Demon Palace's interior had turned into ruins. The rocks in the midst of these ruins still kept exploding frantically. Only the area protected by defensive formations, the most important areas of the palace, were preserved. The Earth attribute forbidden spell level Earth Dragon Liberation came out from the ground below the Moon Demon Palace, elevating itself several hundred meters high in the air, becoming visible from any corner of Modu Core City. That huge yellow dragon did not keep attacking, only rolling frantically while causing powerful bursts of Earth elemental essence. Even the moon demons of the 9th step did not dare approach it. Of all Earth forbidden spells, Earth Dragon Liberation wasn't the most powerful because of its greatest flaw, its scope. Generally, forbidden spells have a very wide range, but Earth Dragon Liberation's range was limited to only 500 meters, what extended beyond being no more than residue from its power. But its true might would only be deployed in a range of 500 meters. But for this very reason, the might of this Earth Dragon was terrifying enough to place it above a lot of other Earth Elemental forbidden spells. It was unable to launch a direct attack, but attacking it would only cause terrible repercussions. This Earth Dragon borrowed its power from Earth's true might and condensed it, formed on its own of over 300,000 spiritual energy. Of course, it was only able to wreak havoc on its original location and for a limited time, after which it would disappear on its own. That's its other flaw. So the fact a powerful Earth Mage chooses to use this forbidden spell can only mean that his goal is to destroy an area and not kill the enemy. In Longhauchen's plan, this Earth Dragon Liberation was the greatest candidate to be released there. That crystal Yu Yi handed him was able to store spiritual energy of forbidden spell level for a short time, but the spiritual energy inside will disappear as time passes. So it should be used promptly after storage. The 9th Holy Guards could not possibly complete the forbidden spell while teleporting it entirely through Longhauchen's Eternal Melody, which was a little issue Longhauchen had originally forecasted, and resolved thanks to this crystal. At the moment, the Earth Dragon coming from the forbidden spell was perfectly completing its mission, drawing the whole Modu Core City's attention, including all the demon powerhouses present. Gathered attacks, and hold defense. A dignified voice spread. On black-colored clouds, 2 dark purple figures appeared noiselessly in the sky above the Moon Demon Palace. One of them flashed past, and pierced through the Moon Demon Hall while the other landed on the ground, releasing myriads of purplish light from its body, forming a huge purple mantle towering over the coiling Earth Dragon. Standing in front of a forbidden spell, what kind of overbearing act was that? Though, of course, he was not planning to obliterate this forbidden spell, only to restrict its power. The appearance of these 2 figures immediately calmed down the frenzied Moon Demon clansmen, a large amount of whom started to release powerful magic. Some were trying to protect the Moon Demon Palace, and some tried to restrict the coiling Earth Dragon alongside the second figure. No doubt, the 2 suddenly appearing situation-reversing Moon Demons were 2 of the 4 Moon Demon Great Emperors, the other 2 being reported as brought alongside Agars to follow the Demon God Emperor to the Exorcist Mountain Pass. While these 2 were left to protect the Moon Demon Palace. They were the true top powerhouses of the Moon Demon clan. As the second greatest clan, although Moon Demons were caught off guard by the forbidden spell, they still made a prompt response, reducing the damage to its lowest. However, even so, this sudden forbidden spell still destroyed a great part of the buildings inside the Moon Demon Palace, which would take quite a while to rebuild. And, right at this time, large amounts of shadows, mostly black-colored, rushed toward the Moon Demon Palace. Longhauchen seemed expressionless at the sight of the changes in the situation, but actually, his mental force was stretched to the greatest extent, enabling him to perceive all the changes all around. The instant the Moon Demon Palace elevated itself into the air, Longhauchen accelerated even further, knowing that his primary plan was already complete. This route he was currently speeding along was carefully and cautiously chosen, not a straight line from the Moon Demon Palace to the Star Demon Palace, but the most inconspicuous route. Blending in among high buildings' shadows on the route, his shadow was furthermore almost imperceptible without paying extreme attention, thanks to his current speed. At this crucial moment, Long Hao-chen was extremely concentrated and serious. Gradually, his rushing breath was coming back to normal, and the light essence of extreme purity in him didn't leak out at all, as he only relied on external spiritual energy to advance forward. They are finally making a move. Long Hao-chen's attention was suddenly drawn, making him pull back some of his most extended mental force. That's because he distinctly sensed from the direction of the Star Demon Palace that over 100 flying figures came out, heading toward the Moon Demon Palace. They were the first additional large group of the whole Modu capital city to set into action. As expected, the Moon Demon Palace and Star Demon Palace were the closest, confirming the feasibility of the rest of the plan. After the Star Demon Palace reacted, a figure swept past around it. That instant, Long Hao-chen had retracted all his mental force, and didn't dare do any scouting. Demons were really powerful, Long Hao-chen gasped secretly. The instant his mental probing was retracted, he could distinctly sense that at least 40 of the flying demons visible in the sky already reached the 9th step. This was a really colossal strength, the true demon elite, and that was when the demon god emperor had brought away a large part of it. Today must be a success, Long Hao-chen determinedly clenched his fists, and as more and more individuals were gathering around the moon demon god, he finally reached his destination. His footsteps came to a step, and setting himself afloat, Long Hao-chen headed to an inconspicuous spot on the Star Demon Palace's side. At some point a yellow star-shaped gem had appeared in his right hand. Some elemental fluctuations were faintly discernible outside the Star Demon Palace. But upon coming into contact with Hao-chen, they magically disappeared, as the gem in his hand dispersed faint traces of warmth. Having finally decided on this plan, Long Hao-chen had put in meticulous care when preparing it. Having discussed a lot with Yu Yi to perfect it, he had now an overall understanding of both the Moon Demon Palace and the Star Demon Palace. And Yu Yi had supplied quite a few crucial goods, including the crystal enabling the forbidden spell's release, as well as that gem in his hand being used right now. This video will end here.